Dear guests, dear colleagues, dear friends, I would like to say, it's a true pleasure to welcome you here to the final conference of the MAPRE Succession Project. Of course, I would like to extend my warm welcome also to our many online participants. I have been told that in total we have more than 170 participants. That's really great. So this is proof of the great interest in the MAPRE project and the political and practical importance of the succession regulation. It is also thanks to our excellent speakers that so many have joined us today. We are particularly happy to welcome Dr. Andreas Stein, head of the Civil Justice Unit within the DG Justice and Consumers. Dr. Stein, you and your team are responsible for the revision of the succession regulation, starting with a report in 2025. Your work will shape the legal framework for the international successions in Europe. The notaries of Europe will support you and your team in this venture. Goes without saying. Let us work together in the interest of the EU citizens and facilitate the planning and the settlement of international successions. At today's conference, we can share ideas on how to improve the succession regulation. We are curious to learn about your ideas and priorities. Hopefully, you will also draw some inspiration from our discussion. Thank you for joining our conference today, all of you. Of course, I'm equally grateful to all academics and colleagues who joined the conference as speakers. You have contributed greatly to the MAPRE project with your expertise. Now it's time to see the results of more than 2 years of successful teamwork. I am looking forward to your presentations and your views. I don't want to anticipate our discussion, but I think we all agree that the importance of the succession regulation cannot be overemphasized. Since its entry into force in August 2015, it has greatly facilitated the planning and settlement of cross-border successions. Most importantly, the succession regulation has introduced uniform rules on jurisdiction and applicable law, establishing the last habitual residence and of the deceased, of course, as the general connecting factor in terms of international private law. This has been a real paradigm shift. Before, many of the national conflict of law rules were static. They exclusively used the nationality of the deceased as a connecting factor. Now, jurisdiction and applicable law are dynamic, as we notaries are. They move with the citizens, encouraging cross-border mobility. At the same time, the rules on jurisdiction and applicable law stay aligned. Such harmonization helps practitioners in their day-to-day work. In most cases, notaries can apply their own national law when they plan or settle a succession and when they prepare or issue certificates of succession. This guarantees swift access to justice and high-quality legal services for citizens. In addition, the regulation has created the European Certificate of Succession, the ECS. Using the ECS, heirs can settle cross-border successions in different member states efficiently and speedily without the need to apply for multiple certificates in various member states. The succession regulation also gives rise to intricate questions and has some shortcomings. As we all know, the MAPRE project has identified and analyzed some of the most important issues. But it does not only identify problems, it also suggests straightforward practical solutions. Just to give you a few examples. Currently, Article 22 of the succession regulation only allows the testator to choose the law of his or her own nationality. Our empirical study has revealed a practicable need to expand this rule. the testator should be able to choose also the law of the member state in which he or she habitually resides. So this would considerably facilitate the estate planning, especially for couples with different nationalities. This is something I really see in my day-to-day practice in my notarial office. So spouses could easily align the law governing their successions and their matrimonial property regime. The MAPRE project has also identified ways to further improve the ECS. Our study has found that many practitioners consider the process of issuing and using an ECS as complicated and burdensome. Therefore, the MAPRE project proposes to streamline and simplify the information contained in an ECS. It shows possible measures to alleviate the burden of translation, for instance. Finally, the MAPRE project provides empirical proof that the period of validity of an ECS currently foreseen in the succession regulation is too short in practice and should be prolonged. These are only a few of the many findings of the MAPRE project, which we will discuss in a minute. As we will see, the MAPRE project has fully achieved its objective. It has drawn a realistic picture of how the succession regulation is applied in practice. Based on this analysis, it suggests solutions to facilitate cross-border successions, both de lege lata and de lege ferenda, as we say as lawyers. So the reasons for this success lie in the innovative focus and research design of the MAPRE project. The MAPRE project focuses on the application of the succession regulation by civil law notaries as practitioners. They have an extraordinary level of experience and expertise in international successions. Notaries are involved in estate planning and settlement, and this on a daily basis. They either issue national or European certificates of succession or prepare and authenticate the applications for such certificates. Notaries authenticate last wills and make sure they entered in the national registers of last wills. In most member states, the national notarial organizations administer the central register of wills. They cooperate in the European Network of Registers of Wills Association, whose president, Octavian Rogoianu, here you are, has joined us today. Thank you, Octavian, for being with us. You will also be on one of our panels today. The MAPRE project has gathered detailed data from the practice of European notaries. This makes MAPRE a pioneer project, so to say. The data collection relies on the support of data scientists from the University of Oxford. They will continue help improve the data collection also in the future. The insights drawn from practice have been analyzed by outstanding private international law scholars. They have enriched the findings with scholarly desk research. As independent experts, they have formulated meaningful, practical policy solutions. I am very happy to welcome two of the three external academic advisors as speakers today, Professor Patrick Vautelet and Professor Pierre Caillet. Thank you very much for your contribution to our conference and your tireless work in the project. Last but not least, the MAPRE project is backed by all 22 CNUE member notariates, representing more than 45,000 notaries in Europe. These 45,000 notaries serve more than 400 million EU citizens in 22 EU member states. This broad representation in the MAPRE project has been possible thanks to the intense work of the scientific committee of the MAPRE project and, of course, the CNUE's Succession Law Working Group. Both are chaired by my dear colleague Marianne Semondic. Marianne, thank you very much indeed for your commitment, and I'm particularly grateful that you have agreed to conclude today's conference. Thanks again. Although we are holding the final conference now of the MARPE project, our research has only just started. New questions in relation to the succession regulation continue to occur. One recent example is the preliminary ruling of the European Court of Justice of 9 March 2023. It was just the day when we gathered to celebrate the 15th anniversary of our ENN, European Notarial Network. As you know, the court held that a land register may reject an application under the national law in case the ECS submitted in support of that application does not identify the relevant immovable property. This creates a huge problem for heirs where national law does not allow to identify the single objects of the estate. Another example is whether we need a uniform definition of the habitual residence, and if so, how we could define it. As you can see, there is enough room for further discussion on the succession regulation and its future revision, and on the lessons learned from the MARPE project in this connection. Let us continue this discussion for the benefit of the citizens across the EU.